Warning. Information found within the Foundation database is classified. Access by unauthorized personnel is strictly prohibited. Perpetrators will be tracked, located, and detained. We here at the Foundation have been given strict guidelines for every one of you to listen, learn, and attempt to comprehend sensitive subject matters as an alternate form of testing. You willfully have joined this project, and any exposure to the subject material is considered highly dangerous, and viewer discretion is advised.
Greetings, my friends, and welcome to your SCP Foundation Orientation Program. As our new C-Class personnel, you will be interacting directly with some or all of the SCPs mentioned within today's presentation. You are reminded that all information given today is done so at the sole discretion of the site director, and sharing anything without authorization of a Foundation member with the correct clearance level will result in immediate termination of your contract and the administration of Class B amnestics. By entering the room, you have agreed to be bound by these rules and to abide by all security protocols, containment procedures, and other Foundation regulations. So, my friends, we are here once again.
Pleasure to be back.
Pleasure to be back.
As ever. So, I believe we should get straight into it. I believe our first item today is item 5643.
We go into a little bit more further readings and showing off some of the more recent anomalies we've come into contact with. They're under new classes. They have a disruption class and a risk class, both of which will be spoken about when reading about this SCP anomaly.
Yeah. Hold on. Sorry everyone, I was dealing with someone being rowdy in the back.
Give them a bonk.
I did. Item 5643. Level 3, confidential. Containment class.
Euclid.
Still have trouble with that word after working here for many years. Risk class warning. Special containment procedures. SCP-5643-A is to be kept locked in a locked container at all times. Any personnel who wish to interact with SCP-564-A must receive permission from the site director. Personnel handling the object are to wear heavy-duty gloves. Any personnel that come into direct skin contact with SCP-5643-A should be subject to immediate psychological evaluation and will not be permitted to access the object again. SCP-5643-B is housed in a standard humanoid containment cell. It is to be provided with pain medication every 8 hours. If SCP-5643-B complains of a worsening headache, it is to be sedated. Guards outside the cell must be equipped with headphones containing cognohazard filters. At no time should it be allowed to access SCP-5643-A. SCP-5643-A is a shard of obsidian measuring roughly 2 by 2 by 0.5 centimeters, regardless of its environment. SCP-5643-A is conspicuous to human subjects. When SCP-5643-A is in contact with the subject's skin, the subject will experience a feeling of euphoria. Upon separation from the object, the subject will experience symptoms including irritability, fatigue, headaches, dizziness, and increased anxiety. Psychological changes similar to those upon secondary exposure may occur in certain individuals. These symptoms will subside after approximately 2 weeks if the object is not touched again. Upon secondary exposure, subjects will undergo various permanent psychological alterations, which can include lessened empathy and changes in personality. After this stage of exposure, subjects will experience an addiction to the object's effects. In addition to exposure to SCP-5643-A, will result in severe psychological alterations, paranoia, deterioration of motor functions, migraines, and blue to black skin discoloration. SCP-5643-B is a Caucasian female formerly known as Dr. Mara Hyde. Prior to its containment, it worked as a Foundation researcher. Due to extended exposure to SCP-5643-A, its arms are significantly discolored. In addition, it suffers from chronic migraines. When its pain reaches a certain threshold, vocalizations it produces will create mildly euphoric effects for human subjects nearby, followed by headaches, dizziness, and confusion. Go for it.
I was just saying we come to addendum 5643-01, a selection of texts between SCP-5643-B and Dr. Matthew Hyde, recovered after containment. All other text messages on its phone had been deleted prior to retrieval.
Give me one moment.
No problem. Let me know when you are ready. We appear to have someone in the class today who apparently skipped the initial stages of the briefing and has no idea what the Foundation actually is or does. So as a brief summary, there are many unexplainable things in the world, whether you call them UFOs or ghosts or angels or all sorts of wonderful and awful things. And it is our job as members of the SCP Foundation to secure, contain, and protect these anomalies through whatever special containment procedures are necessary. You here, as a C-class member, are now going to be directly responsible for the care of these SCPs and their study, with the aim to eventually, hopefully, explain away what they are and understand their anomalous effects.
Well said.
But it's a long story short. It's a way of really boiling it down to the bare bones there.
That's what happens when you miss orientation.
Yeah, well, let's just hope they don't get thrown in the deep end there.
Yes.
At least they shortened orientation since I joined.
Yeah,
So-
we really had to cut it down.
So there appears to be a message on your phone. It just lit up in your pocket pad.
Did it now?
Oh yes, we're visiting Site 28 today.
Ah, so we are. It's alright, that is all confirmed. That is all go.
Yeah. Now let's see what the text messages read.
Alright. Addendum 5643-1, text between SCP-5643-B and Dr. Matthew Hyde recovered after containment. All other text messages on its phone had been deleted prior to retrieval. The date is 5/4/20 at 12:04 p.m. Fuck. Matt, pick up. Matt, let's talk.
What do you want? I'm in the middle of something. Can it wait?
Fine. 6:13 p.m. Still doing something?
Yes.
The next day, 9 a.m.
I can talk now. What is it?
I'm tired of this. All of this.
Is this about her?
What do you think?
You've got to get over her. Move on.
Easy for you to say.
Only way to feel better is to move on.
Yeah, fuck you too.
It's the truth. I just want you to feel better. Focus on work more in the meantime.
That's difficult,
Yes, but this isn't healthy.
I guess. Reports indicate that SCP-5643-B first came into contact with SCP-5643-A on 5/6/20. This next part is from 5/6/20 at 5:18 p.m. You were right. She would want me to move on. The next day at 6:02 p.m.
You doing okay?
I feel better.
Already? That was quick.
I don't want to talk. At 7 p.m.
You're not okay, are you?
Addendum. That's the end of that log. Addendum 5643-2, a transcription of phone call between Dr. Hyde and SCP-5643-B on 5/9/20. Begin log.
Hey, Mara.
Hey.
Everything alright?
Yeah, just a headache. Why'd you call?
You couldn't have gotten over Cora that quickly. What's really going on?
Is that what this is about? Nothing's going on.
Well, I'm glad that you've gotten over her. So, how's life?
It's good.
That's good to hear. I'm doing okay. Nothing that exciting is going on.
Well, seeing as nothing's happening, I'm gonna...
Mara, I'm worried about you. You've been acting weird.
Weird? I'm fine. Great, actually.
That's what I'm talking about. You're being so... cold?
And you're being overly concerned. Bye. End log. Addendum 5643-3, continued messages between SCP-5643-B and Dr. Hyde. This is on the 21st of the same month at 6:10 p.m.
Everyone agrees that you've been acting weird.
It's none of your business. Leave me alone.
I can't. I'm worried.
Well, don't be. That is 9 days later at 5:30:20 at 5:06 p.m.
Why are you being so distant?
I'm not. I'm fine.
There's something wrong. I know it.
I told you, nothing is wrong. 6/9/20 at 3:31 p.m.
Mara, we need to talk.
No, we don't.
What's happening? Have you been drinking? You can be honest with me.
Nothing's happening.
I'm just concerned.
I'm my own person. Stop getting involved. I hate you. That's the end of that log. Addendum 5643-4, a transcript of a phone call between SCP-5643-B and Dr. Hyde on 6/18/20. Begin log. My hands are turning blue. My head hurts so much. I think I'm dying.
Whoa, hold on. Slow down. What happened?
This stupid rock. I don't know. It's... Please, I can't see.
Alright, I'm coming. Just stay with me.
Am I still Mara?
What do you mean? Of course you're...
Matt, am I still me? I'm not me, am I?
I don't...
I'm sorry.
For what? You're not making any sense.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Just hang in there, okay? I'm coming. After 7 minutes of silence, are you able to let me in, or?
It's unlocked.
Oh shit! What happened to you? Put that thing down. Give it.
No, I need it.
No, you don't. Drop it. What is wrong with you? You're not Mara anymore, are you?
Unblock. Dr. Hyde was found deceased in an apartment formerly belonging to SCP-5643-B. He had several stab wounds all over his body. Upon autopsy, it was revealed that Dr. Hyde died from a hemorrhagic shock. Addendum 5643-5. A collection of audio logs recorded after the containment of SCP-5643-B. 6:21:20. 6:20 a.m. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. What am I doing? I'm tired, Matt. It hurts. 6:22:20 at 7:39 a.m. Why does everyone good have to die? You didn't deserve it. You had a life to live. It's not fair. 6:23:20 at 12:31 p.m. There's something wrong, Matt. They're not hearing me. I speak, but they don't understand. Am I that far gone? What's wrong with me? 6:24:20, 3:59 a.m. They're hearing me. I think it's cognitive hazard. Something of the sort. I don't know. No one understands what I'm saying. 6:25:20 at 11:40 a.m. I just want the pain to stop. Is that too much to ask? I can't stand this. I can't do it. I'm sorry, alright. Just make it stop. 6:25:20 at 12:01 p.m. I deserve this, don't I? You trusted me and I betrayed you. How long has it been, Matt? Been a while, huh? That's the end of the logs.
Interesting.
There's a lot going on there, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's obviously very tragic, the unfortunate demise of Dr. Hyde there. However, obviously it does just go to show the danger of working with SCPs on a regular basis. Well, anomalies on a regular basis, even before they are anomalies, of course. Also, you can't hear it, but you got a round of applause from my chat by the sound alerts.
Your class. Thank you.
So I'm gonna have to quickly make that invisible. Right. So with that, any theories at all as to what's going on? I'm assuming it is just like was mentioned, just purely a cognitive hazard. Just getting the better of people, really.
Yeah. I mean, I met these people. They worked with us, and it was definitely sad. They were nice people.
There's only been one known case so far. The ones that we've actually logged. As for everything else, I don't know if it's a hive mind currently, or if it's just a simple release and change of the mind.
I don't know. I think it could be almost like drugs with a psychoactive effect, insofar as, well, yeah, very simplified. It's just it's almost like you, upon needing that needing to feed that addiction, you end up becoming almost as a different person, if that makes sense. Obviously, people have been known to do all sorts of things they wouldn't otherwise do on drugs, whether it be stealing money or attacking people or so on and so forth. It's just very hard to tell, really.
Linking back to our last session with our.
Hold on. There's a new set of people. They don't need to know about some of those. They weren't briefed on them.
It's fair. Sorry. Slipped my mind for a moment. It's been a crazy week.
Yeah, these C-class all look the same after a while.
Oh.
But yeah, with that, I believe we're moving on to 5798.
Alright.
Sounds good.
The document and all associated documents of this SCP are subject to the classification requirements and restrictions therein. The document may or may not contain lethal, mimic, defense measures. Attempting to access or disseminate this document without proper and sufficient authorization is punishable by death. You here are the ones who have been chosen to be active in this reading, so be mindful for that. Item number 5798, Level 2 Restriction. Containment Class Safe, Disruption Class Dark, and Risk Class Notice. The assigned site is 103. The site director, Michael Saint, and research head is S. Hatto. The assigned task force is not applicable in this. Special Containment Procedures. The building containing SCP-5798 has been purchased by the Foundation and shuttered from public access. 2 Foundation Guard personnel are to be stationed on site for the purpose of deterring trespassing. SCP-5798 is an entity of indeterminate length residing in the plumbing system of a YMCA building in an undisclosed location in Florida. Subterranean imaging techniques have revealed that SCP-5798's length takes up the entirety of the building's plumbing system. The entity's physical appearance is that of a mass of flesh, terminating in several tentacle-like appendages. 5798's epidermal coloration is entirely transparent. As a result, veins, muscle tissue, and small blonde hairs have been observed as part of the entity. SCP-5798 is mostly dormant and has been observed to surface for brief periods of time through a small drainage gate located in the shower of the men's locker room, fitting its appendages through the slots of the grate. The entity is capable of extending up to 1.2 meters from the drain. 5798 is sapient and capable of communicating coherently in English, which you will further learn in the next instant log. Initial research of SCP-5798 was conducted by junior researcher Hatto. While tuning subterranean radar equipment inside the locker room, the following events occurred, a log of which has been transcribed from surveillance footage and has been found below. Researcher Hatto sits in front of the shower taking notes. A small voice is heard coming from the drain.
Hey!
Huh?
I'm over here, bud, down the drain.
Oh.
That's it? Oh? You talk to someone like me often?
I just wasn't aware you could speak. Believe it or not, you're normal compared to some of the things I've conversed with over the past week.
Seriously? You work at the 7-Eleven or something?
Practically. Oh, I guess they want me to ask you questions. Let's see. Do you have a name?
Don't think so.
What are you?
Don't care.
How'd you get into your situation?
Don't know.
God. Oh. Sorry, I can't give answers like that. They want information.
Well, shit, well, I'm really sorry, man. I genuinely can't answer those questions. Who's they?
My bosses. Look, even if you have to make something up, I won't know. I just need research credits. Please?
Hatto brings his left hand to his temple and begins massaging it.
I wasn't trying to be rude or anything. I just don't think about those things, you know? I apologize.
It's fine. I'm fine.
You sure about that, man? I promise you can talk to me about it.
What? I mean... Christ, I'm talking to a fucking drain monster. This is ridiculous.
Hey, there's no need to be prejudiced. I can speak and think just as well as you can. I'm willing to lend an ear if you think it would help. Just pretend I'm not here and speak your mind. No filter.
You sure? I mean, I'd sound unhinged. I'm already talking to
A drain monster, I know. Just give it a shot, dude. I won't judge.
Fine. No. God, no, I'm not alright.
This is how healing happens.
I'm overworked. I'm exhausted. I'm lonely. I'm still hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. And you'd think a $1 trillion organization would maybe take care of that, but they don't. I do pointless research all day in hopes of maybe getting a paid vacation one year and a complimentary plaque in the site break room or some shit. Sure, if I'm lucky enough to be so useless to the Foundation that they actually let me go, I'll be able to retire at 60, where I can own a nice little compensation house for me to fuck off and die in peace. That's if I don't lose my life talking to a fucking drain snake or end up in a wheelchair because I looked at a book the wrong way on a Tuesday or some other contrived bullshit.
Hado's began sobbing into his hands.
Let it all out, bud. Let it all out. I'm listening.
Girls don't like me. Guys don't like me. Hell, at this point, my fucking hand doesn't like me either. I just have so much work due all the time, and I'm shit at time management, and I have to ask for a deadline extension. Oh, it never ends. I haven't slept more than 4 hours in years. Years!
Yes. That's awful, dude. I never realized you guys had it so bad.
Only if you're poor.
I don't mean to make you jealous, but I never had to deal with anything like that.
What would you know about anything? You're a fucking drain snake.
Hey, I'm pretty cultured. Like, I got it all down here. I can sleep as much as I want, watch movies all day.
God. Wait, really?
Totally, dude. Movies, TV shows, games, YouTube, whatever.
Well, now I'm interested. How do you do all that?
No clue. I just think about it really hard when it happens. I've always been able to do it. I basically spend all my free time online.
So you have internet. You sleep as much as you want, and well, what else do you do? How do you occupy yourself all day?
Like I said, podcasts, message boards, Warcraft. Speaking of which, I do have a raid coming up in 20, so I might step away for a bit if that's good for you.
Isn't that a paid game?
Bitcoin. You ever try crypto, dude? It's the future, I'm telling you.
Man, it sounds great down there.
Life's just better. You probably enjoy it. I take it you're not much of a socialite anyways, but the only downside about living down here is that it's a little lonely.
Can't you just talk to people online?
Yeah, but it's not the same. Why do you think I started talking to you?
Good point.
We get into writing recently. Helps with the introspection.
You write?
Whatever I want, for as long as I want.
That's all I've ever wanted to do.
Down here, you'd be able to write all day.
You're so right. I want to be a romance author, but I'm too scared to actually go through with it.
Hell yeah! That's the spirit, I'm telling you. Come down here, dude. I promise, you'd love it. I get a friend, and you get the life you'd want to live. It'll all work out.
Come down there?
Yeah, I can bring you down here. Wouldn't that be neat?
I mean, I couldn't.
Your call. Suit yourself. Something's telling me you're going to regret it. Or not, you're going to regret it if you stay.
You know what? You're right. Fuck this.
Hado
Fuck
throws
you,
his
Foundation.
notebook.
I'm living my own life.
Fuck yeah, you are. I mean, I don't want to press you or anything. As soon as you step into the shower, I'm going to pull you down here just so you...
It just straight up leaps into the shower. I'm ready. I am ready. I am finally free.
SCP-5798 emerges from the grate, extending upwards and tracing its appendages on its surroundings. The entity lunges forward, wrapping its appendages around Hado's right ankle and pulls him towards the drain. Hado gleefully shouts. It uses another appendage to bring Hado's left ankle close to the grate and pulls with enough force to begin pushing the bottom of Hado's feet through the holes of the drain. Hado screams, and the sound of skin ripping is audible through the locker room. By anomalous means, the entity manages to pull both of Hato's feet through the gate. Blood and excess tissue fills the shower floor. SCP-5798 pulls Hato's ankles, contorting the bone to slip through the holes. Audible grinding of the cartilage is heard, and cracking sounds are intermediated with Hato's increasingly distressed vocalizations. Hato passes out and regurgitates a mixture of blood and stomach contents. A loud crunching noise is heard as SCP-5798 snaps the tibia and fibula of researcher Hato's lower legs. Several more appendages emerge from the grate to retrieve excess skin. Hato seizes and continues to vomit. In his thrashing, he has broken several teeth, and his nose appears to be displaced. Hato appears to regain consciousness and vocalizes unintelligibly. As the entity attempts to squeeze Hato's throat through the gate, another snapping sound, assumed to be Hato's pelvic bone, is heard. Hato goes limp as 5798 squeezes his torso and stomach through the grate. A slurry of entrails and viscera is expelled through Hato's mouth, which increases in concentration as more of his body is forced through the drain. Hato's rib cage snaps and his upper torso sinks to the floor. The last of Hato's body, his head, is pulled through the drain. Excess brain matter, hair, ocular muscles, and teeth surround the immediate area of the grate. The slurry of bodily fluids and entrails stain the shower. Upon further interaction with SCP-5798, the entity used Research Hato's voice to communicate. No relevant or new information has been gained from this research, and the entity claims to have no recollection of Researcher Hato.
Well, that took a turn.
You have to be steadfast when you're working in a job like this. You can't fall victim to something so simple. If it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true.
Absolutely. It's a prime example of that, and also a grim reminder of the many unfortunate ways of which you can meet your demise in this line of work. Frankly, I'm amazed that we aren't all dead and dismembered already. But that's what the D class are for, isn't it?
Speak for yourself.
Well, at least one of us is careful. Any theories or any general ideas? I'm thinking just straight up absorption. Just it's got to come from somewhere.
Once again, voice mimicking seems to be popular upon our SCPs.
Well, how do you know I'm not an SCP right now? I'm just kidding. For legal reasons, that was a joke. I am definitely still Dr. Lee. I'm not any other entity using his body and voice. That would be utterly ridiculous.
You just stop talking, you're making it worse.
You're probably gonna get scanned on your way up.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. What's a cavity search between friends?
This reminds me of another from a few years ago that I read about. And again, it follows the same idea of incubi and succubi. And if there's a time, we may be able to go over that very same SCP in a future date.
I imagine that'll most likely be with a fresh class when it becomes a little bit more relevant.
Absolutely.
Manipulative.
I have friends like that. Well, not
You need
anymore.
better friends.
I do need better friends. Yeah. That is how it do be though sometimes. But yeah, I mean, I can't think of there being necessarily too much to discuss on that one apart from the fact that it's gross and yeah, don't talk to drain monsters, kids. Speaking of which, do you think Pennywise is one of ours? Do you think we have him?
Don't worry about it. If we have one like that.
If I need to know, I'll be told. But yeah, in that case, would you like to move on to item 5957?
Let's go ahead.
Okay, so this document has not been updated with the new anomaly classification system, so it only has the object class of Euclid. This is, of course, SCP-5957, in the care of Site-9-1 under the direction of Yonovaga PhD MD, with research head Yokasta Rossi PhD, and it has the assigned task force Beta 777, which is a really cool name. Like, imagine you get assigned to 777. Like, come on. Lucky sevens, right? Sorry, I got
I'm not
sidetracked
so
there.
sure about that.
I
Sorry,
know, man.
Dr. Yuki called me for something, even though she knows she's not supposed to interrupt.
Can't get the staff these days. So, with that, the special containment procedures are as follows. The area of the Ural Mountains in which SCP-5957 occurred has been sealed by a security perimeter 2 kilometers in diameter, enforced by electric fencing and anti-memetic countermeasures. A forward operating base has been established to the south at the base of the mountains, where containment specialists and armed security are stationed. Personnel are to patrol the area daily, and any civilians are to be removed from the area under the cover story of seismic instability. Access to SCP-5957-A is limited to Level 4 clearance personnel and must be authorized by specific approval from Dr. Varga. SCP-5957 is the collective designation for the anomalous events and phenomena concerning the deaths of 9 hikers in the northern Ural Mountains. The incident occurred on or about the 2nd of February 1959 and was colloquially described as the Dyatlov Pass incident. The incident is common knowledge in Russia and received national attention in the press, along with multiple subsequent official investigations into the events. The incident in question occurred when Igor Dyatlov and 8 of his party voluntarily left their camp during the height of a harsh winter snowstorm. Undressed and without proper footwear, they made a small fire hundreds of meters from their original camp and then split up and died. The majority of the hikers died due to exposure, though a few died due to severe physical trauma. The initial government investigation concluded that the group had died due to a compelling natural force. The inquest was closed and the file was classified. It is unclear how the documents ultimately ended up in the possession of Marshall, Carter, and Dark. Files from the GRU Division P concerning SCP-5957 were discovered on the 2nd of May 1993 during a raid of a warehouse owned by Marshall, Carter, and Dark. Prior to this discovery, there was no indication that the Dyatlov Pass incident involved anomalous activity. However, once the files were reviewed by Dr. Rossi of Site-91, an investigation by Foundation researchers was opened into the events. The GRU Division P files themselves are non-anomalous and are reproduced below in their entirety. So we've got some pictures to look at here.
We actually have a few of the files on hand.
Yes.
Our details, investigation, interrogation, and conclusions of everything.
Yes, I will quickly read through those, I believe. So, the details. GRU Division P from the desk of Commander Kure Andropov. The 26th of February 1959 to Lieutenant Leonid Chernov, with reference to the Dyatlov hikers. Get over to the Ural Mountains and meet up with local authorities. If there's any evidence of the witness, then I want you to take command of the investigation. I have received word from the local political party officers that they have found an abandoned tent and campsite and some bodies. Several of the investigators have expressed concern that the evidence does not make sense. Usual protocols apply. Commander Andropov, GRUP Division Chief. So we have a photo of the campsite itself just there. Notes from the official inquest concerning the physical remains of the hikers. All of the group's belongings and shoes were left behind in the heavily damaged tent. 9 sets of footprints, either barefoot or wearing only socks or a single shoe, led northeast to the edge of a nearby pine forest. At the edge of the woods, initial investigators found the remains of a small fire. Doroshenko and Krivonishchenko found at the fire, shoeless and dressed only in underwear. Dyatlov, Kolmogorova, and Slobodin, found between the pine forest encamped, believed to have been trying to return to the tent due to their corpses' poses. Each succumbed separately and was left behind on the way back to the camp. None of the 3 reached the original camp. 4 remaining corpses were found on the 4th of May 1959 once the snow had melted, found in a ravine 75 meters into the woods from the remains of the fire at the forest's edge. Evidence suggests that clothes were taken from the dead and used by the living to combat the temperatures. Dubinina was wearing Krivozhenko's fire-damaged trousers. Additionally, her left foot and shin were bound in a jacket that was torn, presumably from one of the other bodies. Notable evidence of post-mortem physical trauma on the bodies found on the 4th of the 5th, 1959 included: Dubinina was missing her tongue, part of her lips, facial tissues, and fragments of her skull and her eyes. Kolvatov was missing his eyebrows, and Zolotaryov was missing his eyes. Various other findings of note. There were no signs of struggle at any of the corpse sites, the tent was ripped open from within, and high levels of radiation were found on one victim's clothing. All 9 left the tent of their own accord, on foot, and poorly dressed for the frigid temperatures. Another group of hikers reported seeing strange orange lights in the sky to the north, and they were roughly 50 kilometers to the south of the incident. One of the original 10 hikers left the party on the 28th of January 1959 and hiked out alone due to unexpected illness. This was Yuri Yefimovich Yudin, currently living in Moscow, aged 58. The above represents the official records as released to the public. Most of the information concerning the first 5 corpses has already been released to reporters by the local authorities by the time of arrival on site. The rest of the information was carefully controlled concerning the remaining hikers of the group, which is those found on the 4th of May, 1959. Now we come to the investigation tab. Upon arrival on site, a public inquest was being held with members of the state press. Reporters were allowed to review the findings of the medical examiner. Local party officials had not released the journal found in the camp's wreckage. Lieutenant Chernov was instructed the officials to release a heavily edited summary to show that Dyatlov and his people were making progress through the mountains and got lost in some freak weather. The real journals are very different and are included in this report in their entirety. 4 bodies were still unaccounted for, but given the heavy snowfall since the deaths of the ones found, investigators presumed they were probably buried in a snowbank somewhere in the forest. Following up on information gleaned from Dyatlov's actual journals, investigators contacted Professor Lebedev at the Ural Polytechnical Institute. After some enhanced interrogation, the professor surrendered a letter sent by Dyatlov to investigators. Lebedev was taken into custody on a charge of unpatriotic activities. Reviews of Dyatlov's journals revealed reference to a tower somewhere in the forest, which was discovered during Lieutenant Chernov's investigations. This has been designated SCP-5957-A. The structure appeared to be of significant age and had no discernible point of entry. No mimetic properties were observed, so investigators were at a loss as to how such a structure could have remained undiscovered in a well-mapped area such as the Ural Mountains. Nearly 2 weeks into the investigation, Lieutenant Chernov discovered the whereabouts of Yuri Yudin, a hiker that had left the party several days before the death of the others. Lieutenant Chernov went to Moscow to discuss the situation with Yudin, who described his experiences in detail. He was placed in protective custody until such time as the investigation was completed. Beyond this note, there is almost no further mention of Yudin. Given that he is still alive, it would be prudent to interview him for the file. Because of significant storms in the area, the investigation was put on hold until the spring thaw. Weather finally allowed the discovery of the remaining 4 hikers approximately 2 months into the investigation. Their conditions showed significant damage as outlined in the details section of the report. In attempting to access the interior of the tower, Lieutenant Chernov discovered that explosives had no effect on the exterior, and according to the journals of Dyatlov, entrance to the interior of the tower was effected through use of a ritual vaguely alluded to. According to a second interview with Professor Lebedev, a second interview with Professor Lebedev was performed on the 4th of May, 1959. We will see a transcript included with this file. Thank you, Arthur, for the host. You should be in bed. Aha! So we now have a letter from Igor Dyatlov to Professor Mikhail Lebedev, the 2nd of January, 1959. Professor Mikhail Lebedev, Ural Polytechnical Institute. Dear Professor, we've decided to go on an expedition into the area of the Ural Mountains. In our discussion groups, you've identified this area as a possible location for a thaumaturgical beacon of immeasurable power. We're all qualified for a hike, so don't worry. We'll make sure to take copious notes of everything, and you'll be the first to hear of any discoveries. Wish us luck. Igor Dyatlov. And here we come to Dyatlov's journals. Extraneous entries have all been omitted. Please bear with me for one moment while I double check one very small thing. Excellent, glad we've covered that. Back to it. So, the 26th of January 1959. We've reached the area Professor Lebedev has indicated in the past. We've made up a camp for the night and we'll start canvassing the area in the morning. Spirits are up. The 27th of January 1959. We tried an Oldevic ritual for locating a ritual site, but with no real success. The whole area of these mountains bleeds with ritual energy, so the locator ritual just fizzles. We'll have to search the area by foot. The 27th of January 1959 continued. We found something very unexpected. A tower, out here in the mountains. It reminds me of ancient Greek or Roman in style. No apparent entrance, but there must be an entrance. I'm going to try something Professor learned from the hand members that visited last semester. We've set up the ritual artifacts to allow for multiple points of thaumaturgical focus on the structure of the tower. I will have to wait until morning, though. The 28th of January 1959. The ritual worked. We've gained entrance to the tower, but what's inside is almost indescribable. Organic structures like polyps on the hull of a ship. Coral, shaped in ways that could only be intentional. And bodies everywhere. Such horrible figures that these dead pose like creatures from a fairy tale. We only got as far as the foyer before Yuden started vomiting and Dubinina started feeling dizzy. A horrible sound began winging from the structure, like a wailing. I couldn't describe it if I had to, just a horrendous pain. I was trying to help Yuden get outside into the fresh air when something started speaking to us. The voice was guttural. I couldn't understand, but it was clear that the voice was coming from the rafters and was very angry about something. The others ran from the chamber. I stood staring into the shadows above Yuden and me. He tried to speak with it, but it didn't respond. I saw it shifting in the shadows, like a man, but with wings and flesh too rough to be human. That was it for me. We ran then too. The 28th of January 1959 continued. Yudin rested and said he felt better. Wanted to get back to the tower. Dubinina is too sick to move, so she stayed at camp, resting. The thing wasn't there when we came back, but the horrible wailing continued. Also, I saw an opening on the tower near the top. Wasn't there earlier. The bodies are diverse. Some skeletal, but still not human. Others roughly human, but naked and lacking sex organs. Because the tower responded to ritual before, I thought a calming cantrip on the Davic tradition would suit the structure. I started to think of it as alive. The wailing stopped, but something else occurred. A terrible vibration rang out from the walls, and the coral or polyp structure started moving, gathering up the bodies, doing horrendous things to them. They reached out for us too, and one did briefly grab Yudin, but we escaped without injury. The sun was setting, and we needed to get back to camp anyway, as the temperatures are so harsh at night. We were surprised by a great glowing light shooting up from the tower, illuminating our path. A brilliant orange sphere hovering half a kilometer into the twilight sky. I think the structure wanted to feel safe. I certainly did. Warm, almost. Hugin is sick again. He has vomited so much, it is only liquid now. He says he will head back into town. He cannot continue. He begged for me to come with him, for all of us to go with him. He said it wasn't safe, but I said he was being paranoid. This is the discovery of a lifetime. Despite the lateness, he says he is traveling out now. The night is on us, and I insisted he stay until morning, but again he refused. He would not stay one more night near the tower. I hope he finds his way back under his light. The 29th of January, 1959. I've convinced the others to move the camp closer to the tower, to a mountain pass that should shield us from the cold, but in the direct warmth of the tower's light. It shone all through the night, and we all feel so much lighter. It's like the tower is welcoming us to its secret. Dubinina feels better too. She doesn't know what happened, but she doesn't want to leave. Some of the others spent the day at the base of the tower, but I thought to keep searching the area. I thought maybe something else would be here, something to explain the tower, but no. The figures on top of the tower remind me of the Western myth of Cupid or Hermes, winged gods sent from the heavens. Maybe that's who built the tower. I went back into the tower, and there was reliefs carved into the exposed stone, where the coral and the polyps don't cover. They show these hands reaching out to the sky, but they have 10 fingers and are holding a rock or a crystal in their hands. No idea what it means. The bodies have been moved by the organic elements of the tower to these smaller rooms that have tables and other organic structures set out with various appendages I don't understand. 31st of January 1959. The light has infused everything. All of us. It watches us. I can feel the winged gods watching us. They are here with us, in the tent. I saw it in the trees outside last night, the one from the tower. It was watching us, although it has no eyes. I could tell it was watching us prepare our dinner. The warm orange light of the tower's brilliance bathes the wood and the mountain pass all throughout the night, so I know it wants us here. The 1st of February 1959, the final entry into the journal. I was wrong. It does not want us here, and it is so cold. We now continue the report underneath the interrogation tab. That was quite a long journal there. So we come now to the interrogation of Mecca Lebedev, recorded on the 4th of the 5th, 1959. The interviewing officer is Leonid Chernov. Did we decide amongst ourselves?
Yeah, it's fine. I got Cherkov.
Okay, yeah. In that case, I think that I will take Lebedev. Okay. Lebedev appears starved and weak in a badly fitting prison uniform. The professor has a fresh discoloration on the face and body, presumably from a beating he took off camera. He is bleeding from several shallow cuts on his face and chest, and he has not shaved in months. Chernov enters with a steaming cup of coffee. He sets out his notes and makes himself comfortable before speaking.
Hello again, Mikhail. You don't mind me calling you Mikhail, do you? Professor doesn't seem so accurate after an institute cancelled your position. Shouldn't take up with unpatriotic types, Mikhail.
What do you want? I just want to see my wife and children. I'll tell you whatever you want.
We found the rest of your students, Mikhail.
Chernov puts several photos in front of Lebedev on the table.
They're not looking so well. You killed these children as surely as you pointed a gun to their heads. The youth is the lifeblood of the revolution. Didn't you know that? And you killed 9 strong students.
What happened to them?
I don't know, Mikhail. I was hoping you could explain.
No, I don't know what happened to them. Please, you must believe me.
I think you do. But I still have more questions, Mikhail. Tell me, you knew Nightlove and the others.
I held a discussion group with some of the students twice a month. Most of them were attendees. Igor never missed a meeting.
What did you discuss at these meetings, Professor? They don't seem terribly patriotic. Hidden meetings with young, impressionable students? What would the party say?
We talked about rituals and thaumaturgy. Things you wouldn't believe.
Then how did you know this about thaumaturgy?
I was stationed at Stalingrad during the war. I met some people that taught me some simple rituals. After the war, I went back home and got my doctorates. Eventually, I ran into some more like those I met in the war, and they showed me to the library.
What library?
And the eternal library, the wandering library. It holds all human knowledge.
Well, really? Was Crochet and Deathless a librarian there?
Why do you ask if you do not wish to hear?
Well... Who or what are the end? Do you really want to test me, Mikhail?
No, please. But where did you hear about that?
Do I need to explain that you don't get to ask questions? Tell me!
Okay. The Serpent's Hand is more of an ideology, not an organization. They do magic. Thaumaturgy. They want the world to be aware of hidden things.
And where can I find some of these people?
You don't, really. They come and go. Sometimes they use the library as a meeting place.
This is what you mentioned before. You will show me this library.
I can't.
Not a very patriotic answer, Mikhail.
No, I mean, I literally can't. They never showed me the secret. They brought me there, but blindfolded. I don't know what it is.
Fine. Then you'll teach me what you thought I'd love, what the Hand's visitor showed you last semester.
Lebedev nods.
Good. Things are looking up, Mikhail.
Lebedev showed me the rituals as he taught to his students, and I will have him come along with us to the tower, just to make sure that it works. The report is once again continued under the Conclusions tab. 1305-1959 to Division Chief Andropov from Lieutenant Yuri Chernov regarding the final report concerning the missing hikers.
On 8th of May 1959, we breached the tower using the ritual as guided by Lebedev. Spetsnaz troops were issued radiation suits and explored the bottom level of the tower. Inside they found many bodies of non-humans, some with skulls shaped like snakes, some with wings, even a human torso molded into a gigantic lower half of serpentine nature. Also found were roughly human corpses, but without sex organs and with tissue reminiscent of sediment and plant matter. Reminded me of old stories of homunculi. Obvious signs of a battle. Dead homunculi and winged things everywhere. These were found near heavily oxidized bronze melee weapons such as spears and swords. The organic machines that made up the bottom floor of the tower seem more interested in grabbing bodies. I gathered up the human bodies, alive or dead. We lost 3 Spetsnaz to these things, and start modifying in ways I don't understand. There's some sort of anesthetic effect. As the living do not scream, the soldiers were terminated after the modification, as they were immediately hostile to our presence. They did not look remotely human anymore. Currently, there's no light from the tower as mentioned in Dailov's journal, but as some hikers to the south confirmed the lights, probably not hallucinations. Clearly the hikers were forced out of their tent, but under their own power, as they tore it open themselves from the inside. The journals don't explain what happened next, but I can assume the tower's security features include the ability to cause small earthquakes. Several have occurred in the last few days until we let the tower close again. I think a landslide was caused by the tower's vibrations and buried the hikers, and they tried to get out but were affected by the light. Beyond that, I have no answers. We will seal off the tower and the area from future intrusion by a mimetic filter as applied by our psionics. The official report will read that group died due to compelling natural force, and we will seal the records in the archives. Sincerely, Leonid Chernov. P.S. Lebedev has been sent to the Gulag. Yudin has agreed to cooperate. He has potential.
And now we come to the Foundation investigation rather than the previous investigation committed by the GIU Division P. So, first of all, we have an interview file with Yuri Yefimovich Yudin from the 1405-1993. The subject is Yuri Yudin, the only survivor of the Dyatlov party, interviewed by Dr. Jocasta Rossi. Mr. Yudin is a 56-year-old retired municipal engineer living in Moscow, Russia. Interview is performed under the guise of journalism in his home. Yudin is relatively fluent in English, and so no translation was necessary.
Good afternoon, Mr. Yudin.
Good afternoon. What magazine did you say you worked for?
I didn't, actually. I'm freelance. But I think I could sell the article to National Geographic, maybe. I was here in Moscow on another story. I'm glad you had time to meet with me.
It's no problem. What did you want to talk to me about?
Well, obviously, like so many others, I was hoping we could talk about that expedition in 1959.
You and everyone else. What happened, Yuri? How did you survive, Yuri? I tell you what I tell them. It was dumb luck that I got sick and left before anything happened to my friends.
Nothing to do with the tower you and your friends found in the mountains?
Yudin freezes and almost drops his teacup. He looks around wildly.
Did you... what? How do you know this?
I found some documents from the KGB division, lieutenant named Chernov.
He was not KGB, he was something else.
GRU-P, yes?
That's right. And if you know anything about that, then you know I cannot speak to you anymore. Please leave, Ms. Rossi.
There are no GRU-P agents anymore. The agency fell with the Soviet regime.
So you think because they no longer have government backing, they are disappearing? But
He pauses
then
and
I'm
drinks some
thinking,
tea.
you are not a reporter, yes? You are SAP, no?
What is SCP, Mr. Uden? Another agency here?
Come now, I see it. Do not play dumb with me. You are not bad at the acting, but I think your title is not journalist, but doctor, no?
How?
Chernoff recruited me in exchange for not being locked up with the poor professor. I was able to live a life, so long as I worked for the division, and I did, for 34 years. We knew about your people, although I did not think your influence extended into Russia.
Many things have changed as of late.
Yes, that is true. My country falls apart under its own weight. Doctor, but I do not think I should talk to you.
We can offer you amnesty and assist your immigration to England.
For what?
For your assistance with this project and your continued cooperation.
What makes you think I want to leave Moscow?
You said it yourself, your country is falling apart. And if there are elements of the GRU-P still around, you probably don't want to live your retirement under their thumb.
Bah, retirement. Okay, I'll help you. But you do not want to open up that tower, Doctor.
We'll get to that. But what happened to you up there?
Don't you have Chernov's notes? You should know.
From your perspective, please.
Uden gets up and moves to his kitchen, retrieving the pot of tea and returning with it. He begins pouring for himself and Dr. Rossi.
Do you believe in psionics, Doctor?
Psychic powers? We've had some experience with anomalies that could fit under that definition, yes.
It is no anomaly. Always there have been some people who see more, who feel more. I'm such a person.
What abilities do you possess?
I could shake your hand and know what breakfast you had this morning, and I could feel your emotions from here. I know you are playing a role, you see.
What does this have to do with what you were telling me?
You see, this is why Chernov wants me on team. He could use me.
And the tower? Did you feel it?
Uden rubs his eyes.
You say that again. Even being near it, I could feel it. It wasn't merely stone. It was alive, and it wanted us gone.
Are you perhaps referring to the entities you encountered inside the tower?
I think there were more a long time ago, but when I was there were the winged things.
What did they look like?
I only saw them twice, once in the tower, but in shadows. Then again as I made my way down from mountain following me. Their wings were like insect and their skin was strange. I tried to tell Igor and the others, this place no good. It want us gone. But they did not listen. They thought it was just ill. Thought I was just ill.
You were ill, correct?
Was very sick, vomiting, exhausted. Didn't know if I could make it back to town. But I could not say. Especially after the tower touched me. I could not stay. I know, who knows what it did to Igor and the rest.
He pauses to drink more tea.
Doctor, you must understand. When I left, they were all fine. Except Dombina. She seemed ill, but not like me. I thought they would see sense and leave.
He falls silent and continues drinking his tea for a few more moments.
The organic structures inside the tower. What did you think they were?
At first I thought it was Tower's hands trying to clean up. It was gathering all the bodies when we woke it up. I think it was asleep for a long time. But later I saw those small rooms. They looked like rooms division would torture people in. Sharp things, tables like medical place. I don't know.
Gertie, I have some people with me. We're going to go to the tower and look around. We will be careful, I promise. But can you show us how to get into the tower?
I think so, but please, I will not go back in there.
I won't ask you to. Just get us inside, and we'll do the rest.
As a note, Mr. Uden agreed to accompany Dr. Rossi and the members of Task Force Beta 777, aka Hecate's Spear, to SCP-5957-A. We come now to the exploration log of 5957-A by Hecate's Spear. This, of course, requires a clearance level of 4 or higher, so those of you without that are expected to leave. Although, by being exposed to this particular anomaly, I believe you all will have one anyway. Okay, our clearance has been verified. So, members of Beta 777, aka Hecate's Spear, with the assistance of Mr. Uden, were able to breach SCP-5957-A. Mr. Uden utilized a Davic ritual of welcome, a working believed to have been used to placate powerful hostile beings. All members of Hecate's Spear were outfitted with radiation protective gear, as SCP-5957-A periodically emits bursts of alpha particles. It is important to note that despite the FSC of Davic thaumaturgy, SCP-5957-A does not exhibit any other connections to Davic culture. Inside the tower, the ground floor was clean of any remains. All bodies mentioned by previous witnesses had been moved to small rooms with organic machinery, theorized to be thaumaturgically powered, automated surgery centers. The biological structures noted to be active in previous reports were still and desiccated. In several of these surgical suites laid out on what appeared to be tables shaped from coral were humanoid bodies devoid of reproductive organs and constructed of sediment and plant matter. Most have been dissected at some point in the past. These humanoid entities lacked any internal organs. Segmented coral and chitinous appendages of several varieties made up some surgical equipment manipulation, ending in a tripart appendage with significant points of articulation, like 3 thumbs pointed inwards. For cutting, they had scalpel-like endings to the appendage, and forceps, where these appendages resemble the mechanical structure of the surgical tool but constructed of muscle, coral, and chitinous biological makeup. Each appendage originates in a polyp and coral constructed box shape attached to the wall of the surgical suite. Each mechanism has upwards of 6 to 8 appendages up to 5 meters in length, and all are currently inactive, draped along the floor and tables of the surgical suites. There were also storage areas. Each surgical suite provided access to an underground storage area in which translucent cases made up of organic material, similar in structure to insectile wings, but heavily resistant to damage in comparison, display the desiccated remains of numerous types of modified human cadavers. There were 3 predominant types noted. The Naga type, consisting of a human torso, upper extremities, and head, attached to an enlarged serpentine lower body. The lumbar portions of the spine perfectly merge into the serpentine spine structure on a molecular level. Entire length of body over 4 meters when fully extended. The Cyclopean, consisting of a large human skeletal structure, roughly 3 meters tall, exhibiting significantly denser bones than a normal human specimen. The skull has been modified such that there is a solitary ocular cavity in the center of the face. Dental structures include significantly elongated canines into tusks that would have extended beyond the capacity of the mouth. Finally, there was the Fawn type, consisting of normal human skeletal structure, except for the lower extremities, which exhibit a reverse knee joint and end in cloven hoofs. Each variety of modified human remains exhibits extensive surgical and thaumaturgical grafting of non-human tissues and skeletal structures. There are over 200 modified human remains in storage, with space for approximately another 300. On the second floor, 18 bodies were found resembling humans, but with an epidermis made up of a material similar to sea sponges, 4 insectile wings sprouting from the back and lacking facial features. This matches descriptions of SCP-3743-C instances. Amongst these corpses were found dozens of the sexless humanoid remains matching those dissected in the surgery suite, several dozen melee weapons made of bronze, which had significantly oxidized, and substantial evidence of a struggle. The third and highest floor of the tower contained a library and laboratory that had been ransacked. No documents were found within, and laboratory equipment was constructed of biological materia, similar to the mechanisms on evidence on the first floor surgical suites. Iconography is present throughout SCP-5957-A, and it shows humanoid hands with 10 digits carrying crystalline structures attached to the palm. The entire structure is radiocarbon dated to 410 BCE, give or take 20 years. In conclusion, SCP-5957-A served as an experimental research lab in service of modifying human subjects. At some point, the facility was attacked by whatever force sent the plant and sediment humanoid entities, and the facility was abandoned. Security features of a thaumaturgical nature were most likely activated when Jetlov's party breached the tower, waking up any surprises left by the builders when they abandoned the facility. Whoever or whatever built this tower is long gone and had the foresight to retrieve any documentation that would have been stored in the uppermost chambers, as it clearly contains shelves meant for books or scrolls. Samples of all 4 types of modified human remains, including cadavers resembling SCP-3743-C, are to be moved to Site 9-1, along with one of the humanoid entities referred to by Chernoff as homunculi, for research to be overseen by Director Varga. Yuri Yefimich Yudin was assisted with immigration paperwork to the UK, claiming political asylum, and was recruited to the Site 91 staff. Finally, we have a containment breach incident 59571 on the 1st of the 6th, 1993, again requiring a Class 4 clearance. I have to take a small drink. Excellent. The following file is level 4/5957 classified. Any attempt to access this file without level 4/5957 authorization and approval from the director of Site 91 will be logged and will lead to immediate disciplinary action. Obviously, by being in this briefing, you all have that clearance, as the director of Site 91 has approved this for your orientation. So the containment breach report is as follows. 2 weeks after establishing containment of SCP-5957-A, the perimeter was breached by a group of hostiles dressed to resemble Soviet special forces. Breaching the perimeter would have required an individual to have prior personal knowledge of the area, with thaumaturgical or monastic enhancement to overcome the countermeasures. 6 containment personnel were KIA in the initial hostilities. After approximately 26 minutes, reinforcements arrived from the FOB at the foot of the Ural Mountains, driving off the intruders. The intrusion force managed to collect all known specimens of the homunculi on site before being interrupted. In the resulting firefight, hostiles retreated and evacuated by an unknown means, removing most casualties from the field. A solitary corpse was forgotten in the confusion, discovered in a ravine just a few dozen meters from the tower. Autopsy shows the assailant was not human, but constructed of sediment and plant life, greatly resembling the homunculi cadavers dating from antiquity and found within SCP-5957-A surgical suites. Surveillance footage from the incident showed an aging man commanding the intrusion force, dressed in expensive hiking gear, and a long woolen grey coat with a fur collar and an Ushanka hat. This individual's body was not found, and he is to be considered at large. And that brings us to the end of this document.
Homunculi are a very interesting concept to read about. I do like reading more and more about them.
I'm interested to see.
Enjoy reading.
I'm interested to see what that other SCP was. Everyone, close your eyes. SCP-3743. Yeah, it's more homunculi stuff. Not homunculi. It's more thaumaturgical stuff. So that begs the question of who we're really fighting here. But I'm sure we'll cover that at some point.
Right. Now, I got a message earlier about something very important, and this is going to be something that we can get to in a few minutes, but I just want to say that whatever happens, then I am happy that we have our class here today.
That doesn't sound good.
Well, let's go to exactly what I was sent.
An emergency notice from the Overseer Council.
In light of recent cataclysmic events, the following file's clearances have been lowered from level 5, 5391 to level 1, 5391. It is our belief that the information contained in this file provides essential context to an anomaly that has affected normalcy on our worldwide scale. For the safety of our organization and the survival of humanity, all Foundation personnel are required to read this document. The veil has been lifted. This is now a war on all fronts. 5391.
Right. 5391.
Yeah.
Okay, I have it.
Now that it's
Well,
unrestricted.
we'd better get on with this one then, since that sounds a little bit too important to put off. So, since this is now required reading, I suppose we'll read it together. Item 5391. Containment Esoteric. Secondary class Apollyon. Disruption class Amida. Risk class Danger. Assigned Site 40, Site Director A. Darius Simmons. The research head is M. Kaori, and the assigned task force is H5, aka the Jaeger Bombers. Special Containment Procedures. Complete containment of SCP-5391 is to be achieved through direct engagement of SCP-5391-1. Entities are to be subdued or terminated on a case-by-case basis at the discretion of the engaging parties. A state of detente has been declared between the Foundation and certain major paranormal organizations, specifically the Global Occult Coalition. All groups in conjunction with world governments are to focus efforts on the engagement and combat of SCP-5391-1. Foundation Facility Site 40 has been declared neutral ground and is to be the primary research terminal of all SCP-5391 related phenomena. As such, the remains of all SCP-5391-1 entities are to be hosted at this location for further analysis. Several massive underground containment chambers are to be used in the event that a live SCP-5391-1 specimen can be contained. The Foundation is presently in the early phases of an SK-class Broken Masquerade scenario. As such, all protocol relating to the preservation of the veil is to be disregarded, referred to site supervisors, and disseminated supplemental documentation for further information. See Addendum 53914 for details on SCP-5391-1 engagement.
Also, at the end of us going over this, there will be documents sent out for everyone. Make sure you read over it.
Understood. 5391 is the designation given to the subsequent appearance of several hostile large-scale aggressors, or LSAs, following the revival of LSA Brazil 01. These entities, collectively referred to as both SCP-53911 and their individual designations, are gigafauna varying in appearance, height, and biological composition. While certain SCP-53911 possess physical traits similar to those found in ordinary organisms, each entity deviates in significant characteristics and anomalous capability. The unifying characteristic among SCP-53911 is the possession of destructive thaumatological capabilities, including the large-scale emission of Elan vital energy and Akiva radiation. A brief summary detailing the characteristics and anomalous capabilities of significant SCP-53911 can be found in Addendum 5391.1. There are presently 27 known entities that have appeared as a result of SCP-5391. In 1998, on the 30th of the 6th, a series of seismic events, including tsunamis, underwater and above-ground volcanic activities, and ground tremors, resulted in the surface of LSA-02 through LSA-09. Entities close to large population centers immediately engaged in hostile behavior. Foundation, military, and Global Occult Coalition forces were mobilized, but were only successful in driving the entities away from large civilian populations. In most cases, SCP-5391-1 retreated into the ocean. A combined cleanup and reconstruction effort of these population centers is underway and is expected to take full effect on the complete containment or neutralization of the SCP-5391-1 threat. The appearance of SCP-5391-1 has resulted in both an MH-class large-scale aggressor overrun scenario and an SK-class broken masquerade scenario. as destruction of metropolitan and otherwise populated areas upon the awakening of these entities has damaged the Veil beyond repair. The vector of SCP-5391 activity is hypothesized to be the resurrection of LSA Brazil-01, an entity responsible for the attack on High Brazil, a large anomalous community, in 1988. This entity was neutralized by the Global Occult Coalition through the use of an experimental, unique Kasaba howitzer nuclear-directed energy weapon, which had the subsequent effect of destroying much of the surrounding area of High Brazil. Following this, the corpse of the entity fell into the possession of Vol 211 Prometheus Labs, who engaged in a series of experiments and physical modifications intended to revive the entity. In 1998, on the 28th of the 6th, the entity was successfully revived, destroying its research facility off the coast of Swansea, Wales, before escaping. It is unknown why the revival of LSA Brazil-01 has resulted in SCP-5391. We come now to the Addendum 5391-1, significant SCP-5391-1 files. LSA Brazil-01. Appearance was 1998, on the 28th of the 6th in Swansea, Wales. LSA Brazil-01 is a crocodilian and cephalopodic entity responsible for the destruction of High Brazil in 1988. The entity possesses numerous thaumaturgical capabilities, including regenerative properties, the emission of elan vital energy for defensive purposes, and the ability to detect other LSAs through EVE patterns. While the entity was once considered neutralized and had sustained unlivable damage to its body, LSA Brazil-01 was revived by Prometheus Labs for the purpose of an experimental program codenamed Anastasis. As a result, LSA Brazil-01 is currently outfitted with large amounts of pyrotechnical components that accentuate its abilities. Anastasis ran from 1991 in December to 1998 on the 28th of June. One of the months anyway. Culminating in the successful reanimation of LSA Brazil-01 and the entity's subsequent destruction of Prometheus Labs' testing facility, ENSW-1. LSA Brazil-01 is currently at large and was last observed near the islands of Principe. LSA Wake-02 appeared in 1998 in Wake Island in the United States Minor Outlying Islands. LSA Wake-02 is an aquatic serpentine entity that resembles a wolf eel or Anarictis ocellatus, and its full body length and measurements are currently unable to be determined due to limited observation. An elysium hangs from the entity's head, hypothesized to act as a lure for prey. When LSA Wake-02 opens its mouth, a second head, resembling that of an anglerfish, will emerge from the entity's mouth to consume prey. This appendage is capable of moving independently from the body, extending as far as 40 meters. LSA Wake-02 is also capable of changing its skin coloration. A variety of complex color mixtures and patterns have been observed. Upon awakening, the entity briefly attacked a cruise ship near Majuro before being driven back to sea by Global Occult Coalition forces. We come now to LSA Stromboli-08, which appeared again in 1998 in Stromboli, Italy. LSA Stromboli-08 is an armored ankylosauran quadruped that appeared in Stromboli, Italy. The entity was apparently buried beneath the island's sediment, and its awakening resulted in the eruption of Mount Stromboli and complete destruction of the island. LSA Stromboli-08's plating features numerous broad spines that end in a narrow point, presumably a self-defense mechanism. The seams between these two plates have a scintillating red glow similar to that of molten rock. As shown during the eruption of Mount Stromboli, the entity shows great resistance to heat and is capable of expelling EVE-infused magma from its body. Due to the danger of approaching LSA Stromboli-08, the entity has remained undisturbed on the island, spending a significant portion of its time following its appearance in a state of rest. We now come to LSA Amman-14, which was found in Amman, Jordan. LSA Amman-14 is an arboreal entity resembling a massive leafless tree. The entity's lower body is composed of soft appendages akin to roots, which LSA Amman-14 has used to anchor itself in the ground. While the entity is capable of moving through traditional means, it prefers to remain stationary and protect itself through the extension of its appendages. LSA Aman-14 is capable of rapidly regrowing and generating extensions of its body and will, observed to be used to pierce its prey. Its upper half resembles a tree trunk, but with a clear head appendage with several black eyes visible. Prior to surfacing, the top portion of LSA Aman-14 was visible above ground among Daivite ruins located in Jordan. The entity was initially thought to be an anomalously grown tree. Following its revival, the entity attacked the city of Amman, causing over 100,000 documented casualties. The entity was driven into the countryside, where Foundation and Global Occult Coalition forces are currently attempting to neutralize the threat. And now for LSA Elizabeth 18, discovered again in 1998 in Elizabeth, New Jersey. LSA Elizabeth 18 is a winged coleopteratic entity resembling a Goliath beetle or Goliathus goliatus. 4 pairs of wings with estimated individual length of roughly 65 meters grow beneath the entity's plated body. A large tapered horn is situated on the entity's head, and LSA Elizabeth 18 appeared in Elizabeth, New Jersey, surfacing from a field outside the city. The entity's subsequent destruction of Elizabeth resulted in over 32,000 casualties. LSA Elizabeth 18 is presently in a state of flight and has not touched land since its initial surfacing. We come now to Addendum 5391.2, a Site-01 internal memo. I'm going to sneeze, bear with me.
Bless you.
Thank you. So, thank you again. So we come to Site-01 internal memo from 1998. Hyperion 5 Emergency Summit Internal Memo Site-01, prepared by Factotum 03A. On 1998, an emergency 701, an emergency summit between high-ranking Foundation personnel was held at Site-01. The purpose of this conference was to determine a proper course of action following the events of SCP-5391. Among those in attendance included Public Relations Specialist Agent Diogenes, RAISA Administrator Maria Jones, and Dr. Charles Gears. In a 9-0 vote, the conference decided to move in favor of lifting certain veiled operations, organizing contact with the Global Occult Coalition, and directing all efforts and resources to containing the SCP-5391-1 threat by any means necessary. Furthermore, Dr. Mikasa Kaori, an integral component during the cleanup and documentation of the High Brazil incident, was promoted to research head for SCP-5391 related phenomena. Dr. Kaori's experience with containing and researching several LSA-class anomalies was also taken into account. Upon review by the Overseer Council, the actions proposed the Hyperion 5 Summit were put into an Overseer vote and agreed upon. The votes for I was Agent Diogenes, Researcher U. Ridley, Director M. Jones, Dr. C. Gears, Director V. Mars Payne, Director C. Luong, Dr. T. Zyank, Dr. A. Mudari, and Agent Rangham. The votes for nay was 0. We come now to Addendum 5391.3, an interview log. On 1988-07-04, Foundation agents successfully detained and captured Pol 2889, Stanislav Nikolaev, D6H. That's not a 6 or an H, that's Krillic, and I can't read Krillic. At the Dublin airport. Pol 2889 is a former group scientist and director of Prometheus Labs' Anastasis project. Pol 2889 was present during the destruction of Prometheus Labs' testing facility ENSW-1 and claimed the results of the Anastasis project were successful. While in custody, he was noted to express joy and elation in regards to the events of SCP-5391, claiming that his life's work had been seen to completion. Pol 2889 was brought to Site-40 and promptly interrogated.
Yes, Doctor.
You've expressed several statements regarding SCP-5391. Was this an intended consequence of reviving LSA Brazil? What?
No, Doctor. I assure you, none of us on the research team had this knowledge. Trust me, Doctor. It may not have stopped my involvement, but the suits shut down project like that.
And why is that? Is this the future you want? Are you enjoying destruction of the Veil? The oncoming loss of millions of lives? Your actions have cost us everything. Costed the world everything.
My simple goal was to make a monster, Doctor. I made my monster and received a dozen more. It is a glorious unforeseen turn of events. I sense resentment from you, Doctor. This isn't the calm and collected demeanor a Foundation personnel is supposed to uphold.
This isn't the world we were supposed to uphold either.
This world is being returned to its rightful masters. I've studied LSAs for decades. These beasts are unstoppable in the purest sense of the word. Fighting them is hopeless. You're better to curl up into a ball and accept fate. At least for now.
For now?
Yes, for now. If you cannot adapt to this new Earth's paradigm, then you will die. Your whole species will die. Thousands of years of human achievement.
How do you adapt?
The only way to kill a kaiju is with one of their own.
Are you suggesting we train an LSA?
It'd be near impossible to train one, but if you want to kill a kaiju, you'll need one of your own. Raise one, grow one, make one, perhaps even build one.
Sorry, I was muted there. Hang on. There we go. Site 40 is warning klaxons sound, and Dr. Kaori looks frantically. Pol 2889 begins laughing. The door to the interview room is flung open by another personnel member. Dr. Kaori, LSA threat 12 kilometers from facility, engaged with civilian watercraft. All forces mobilizing.
Understood.
Dr. Kaori gets up and begins to rush out of the room. She stops as Pol 2889 begins to speak.
You'll see what I mean, Doctor. You cannot win against this power.
We come now to Addendum 5391.4, Incident Wake 02B. The date is 1998-0704. Following the resurfacing of LSA Wake 02, the entity attacked a fishing vessel before being engaged by the Foundation. Mobile Task Force H5, aka the Jaeger bombers, and Site 40 trained personnel were ordered to subdue or neutralize the entity using a variety of specialized equipment. A log of Incident Wake 02B is transcribed below. LSA Wake 02 resurfaces in the Pacific Ocean, 1,523 miles west of Site 40. 24 seconds later, LSA Wake 02 approaches a Trident Seafoods fishing vessel and begins assaulting the craft. 37 seconds into the incident, Foundation forces arrive. 6 Blackgate Atmos armed helicopters, 2 A-class watercraft, Cronus and Rhea respectively, armed with various anomalous weaponry, and the High Energy Concentration Orbital Railgun, or HECOR. 45 seconds into the incident, Mobile Task Force H5 Jaeger bombers are deployed from Dimensional Site 172 and materialize successfully. 48 seconds into the incident, bombardment of the entity continues to be ineffectual. An MM-13 binding field is deployed in an attempt to contain LSA Wake 02 in a state of stasis. The device is rendered unusable within seconds by a large emission of EVE. 54 seconds into the incident, the entity damages the fishing vessel beyond its ability to float. 2 immediate civilian casualties. 55 seconds in, Dr. Kaori and the control team redirect efforts to the safe evacuation of civilians aboard the vessel. A helicopter begins to board survivors. The bodies of the 2 casualties are unable to be recovered. 1 minute and 3 seconds in, LSA Wake 02 grossly extends its second mouth and devours the retreating helicopter. 18 casualties as a result. 1 minute and 8 seconds in, the entity is pierced by 4 anti-thaumatologic cannons. Considerable damage is dealt before LSA Wake 02 destroys a cannon by bludgeoning it with half of the fishing vessel. 1 minute and 15 seconds in, HECOR prepares for firing. 12 thaumatologically keyed explosives impact the entity with a minimal effect. 1 minute 19 seconds in, LSA Wake 02 consumes 2 more helicopters after destroying another cannon. 31 casualties. 1 minute 24 seconds, a sweeping wave of Eve results in the destruction of Foundation Vessel Rhea. 36 casualties. 1.5 minutes in, HECOR fires, destroying a large portion of LSA Wake 02. The entity immediately begins regenerating. At 1 minute and 34 seconds, Dr. Carey redirects the objective to the safe evacuation of Foundation personnel. A Blackgate T-12 unmanned drone is deployed to distract the entity, while a second Atmos helicopter will transport survivors to Site 40. 1 minute 56, bombardment of LSA Wake 02 ceases as personnel board the rescue vehicle. The entity consumes the drone as the helicopter retreats from the area. 2 minutes and 32 seconds, 18 survival personnel are successfully evacuated to Site 40. All members of the Jaeger bombers return to Dimensional Site 112 with only minor injuries. Total casualties calculated at approximately 87. The closing statement is unacceptable. This log and the recorded footage of the incident is proof enough that we do not possess the tools required to effectively combat these entities. We lost 74 Foundation personnel, 13 civilians, and we barely scratched the threat. We would have lost more if I hadn't called for a retreat. It's evident now more than ever that our methods of containment regarding LSAs are grossly ineffectual and costly. I've been lobbying for the continued development of the key program for years. I'm presently drafting a reinstatement proposal for the 5391 Committee's review. If we wish to protect this new world, it's imperative we adapt with it. I have to question whether whether that took 2.5 minutes or 2.5 hours. Yeah, no scale was provided, unfortunately. So
I understand.
I'm used to dealing with smaller scale incidents. In my defense,
That's understandable.
but yes, so we finally come to the final part of the addendums. Addendum 5391.5, a notice from the Overseer Council. As SCP-5391 is an ongoing phenomenon, information is limited and subject to change. This file has been compiled and released as a document intended to summarily inform personnel of all clearance levels. Further information regarding the Veil Protocol, individual LSA documentation, and changing policy will be disseminated through the necessary channels. SCP-5391 is considered a living document and will be updated accordingly. It is imperative that all Foundation personnel remain aware of further developments relating to SCP-5391. In the event that your place of employment within the Foundation is the focus of an SCP-5391 related incident, necessary information and protocol has been released to Facility Administration Committees. Secure, contain, protect. So it's always chilling to hear that, even to this day. We come to a selection of emails between Albert Simmons, the research director of Site 40, and Dr. Kaori. I am going to let you guys read those.
Dr. Kaori, I'm assuming you've read the public release of the file by now. Don't leave much out. 2 days ago, something happened in Paraguay. Killed an entire Foundation expedition team. There's ruins there. Labyrinthine cave systems filled with remnants of ancient civilizations you've never heard of. The higher-ups are starting to put the pieces together. Why this is happening, what these things are, and what's about to come. We were keeping this clearance above you, but your research head now. It's your right to know. We're almost finished revising the file. Regards, Albert Simmons.
Director Simmons. Thank you, Director. I am glad the Overseer saw me fit to see information that is integral to carrying out my job effectively. I spent a day arguing with the Financial Division, trying to dredge up several old failed projects, specifically the KEEP program, as well as the handful that were rushed into development after the High Brazil incident. Risa won't even provide the records. I hope you can realize that withholding information from the appointed authority on this phenomenon is neither beneficial to your cause nor protective of anyone. When will I be given permission to read this new document? Regards, Dr. Misaka Kaori, Foundation Research Specialist.
Expect to see it on your desk tomorrow morning. Remind me, what's the key program?
What do people usually do when confronted by giant monsters? They build mechs.
And that brings us to the end of the document of 5391. So, looks like the point where we are at right now is that we are just starting to construct our own foundation. She's going to put it much better, really, building our own mechs. I feel like the best way we're going to be able to play this off, if we ever manage to reestablish the veil, is that we're shooting a movie using practical effects. You know, using large-scale animatronics and such like. And assuming the families of the deceased can just be administered some pretty strong amnestics, and it'll be like those people never existed.
That's a very good way to go about it, especially due to the fact that in Japan now they have that large Gundam machine that they are testing out.
Exactly. It's, if anyone asks, that's all it is.
Military operation.
That could also work.
You don't want to throw military into it because then they will start reading into it, and then more conspiracy theories involving Area 51, aliens, all that will start coming, and then eventually the veil will break down again.
That's very true.
The practical effects would be the best way to go about it, especially since the movies have been releasing rather rapidly for Godzilla, King of Monsters, Kong, all that.
However, there is some benefit to the military explanation in that it will spawn conspiracy theories, and we can plant a few of our own as well. And really, that will just provide so many answers to any potential questions that the reality will seem, it'll either seem too far-fetched, or it will seem not quite far-fetched enough.
The usual dummy info.
Exactly. But yes, so with that, I believe that is probably the most important document of what we're going to read today. Looks like the war is now, and we need as many personnel as we can spare. Those of you who have not received assignments will probably be expected to report to Site 40 within the next week. Obviously, we are exempt from that, given the fact that we already have vital jobs inducting new people into the ranks of the Foundation. Although that said, our jobs are going to be kind of useless if there is no Foundation.
Yeah.
They're only putting him on one thing.
Also, before we get too far off topic, we've looked into these creatures, but we never actually studied them very in depth. We could assume that SCP-3000 is actually one of them.
That is a good a reference. Possible.
I mean, weirder things have happened. And at least that means we've got one of our own. We could just sort of shove them in that direction.
Yeah.
Let 3000 deal with it. Wow. 3000 doesn't work for us on purpose.
We just get the remains of it. Of the
Absolutely.
residue of what
Those of
happens
you
to people.
Those of you unfamiliar with SCP-3000 who don't need to know about it, you will be administered amnestics on your way out. It's okay. It comes in the form of candy. It's delicious. I think. I don't really remember.
I wonder why you don't remember.
I have no idea. They just left the box on my desk one day. And then I woke up here, so far so good. Amnestics are a hell of a drug.
Said so much you can't even say the word properly.
Absolutely. Amnestics have that effect on people, okay? It's mimetic in nature. Yeah. So that, I believe, concludes today's briefing. Do you guys have any closing statements?
Don't be stupid.
That's a good closing statement. Be aware of your surroundings.
One moment.
Always. Ooh. Gonna have another piece of that amnestic candy.
No. Put it down.
Nom 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 nom. Delicious. Mine's strawberry flavor, I think. I've also been informed that there was a redeem for an uwu a very long time ago. So I'm going to go ahead and refund those points.
I could do it real quick.
No.
No, I would have done it myself. There wasn't an appropriate time.
Yeah.
So, with this that they've learned, there is a series of SCP documents that'll be distributed. You've already read through 5391. You will read about the Awakening, the Queen of Monsters, the Cappy, SCP-5437, Revenescence, and SCP-5514. And then an epilogue of what we all will plan when it's all over. There is a long series of documents all for this, and it will be given on a need-to-know basis.
Do I need to know?
I'll send them over to yours, but until then, we work with what we got.
But yeah, that is how it be. That be where we are. Yeah, I thought that was a pretty successful briefing, if I do say so myself. You are all now perfectly able to work with the Foundation. Again, always respect your superiors. Don't touch the weird goo that you found on the floor. Don't steal out of the goddamn fridge. Okay, are we all clear?
Your name's not on it, don't take it.
Don't remind me about it.
Exactly. If you bring it in, put your name on it. It's very simple. And if you see something with someone else's name on it, don't eat it. Okay? We have a lot of members with peanut allergies, so please do make sure to double bag everything you bring.
And I also know that we have on video who took Doctor's lunch today. Looking at you.
Oh, you figured it out. You figured out who stole my lunch?
Yes.
It wasn't me.
We'll have a talk a little bit later. By the way,
He's going to D class.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of which, yeah,
'Cause I'm
stealing
now
people's lunch
hungry.
it's absolutely punishable by being transferred to a D class position. So I hope you like
Very hungry.
cleaning up after the monster that shits a lot, because that's what you'll be doing if you steal my damn food. Okay, I think that is a good place to end the briefing. If you would all file out nicely. Don't forget to pick up your biscuits and squash at the back table on your way out. Not you. You're staying here. We need to have a word with you. Everyone else, have a wonderful time. Hopefully, I will see some of you at work. Possibly not all of you. And who knows, maybe we will meet again at Site 40.
maybe. Everyone
Okay, I think
dismissed.
I think they're gone. Excellent. Good work.
I'm so hungry.
Well,
I have to go myself. I have work that needs to be done. Until then,
No
I'll
problem.
speak to you all soon.
me and this
Also have work.
I, amazingly, actually have not much to do. So I'll be giving a stern talking to this young individual here. And perhaps I'll even take them on a raid, who knows. So with that, my friends, it was once again lovely to speak with you. And yes, I will see you all the same time 2 weeks from now for our next briefing.
Absolutely. Doctor, yes, I've just left. Of course, nothing was too elaborate this week. Nothing too crazy. No, they don't suspect anything. I'll head right there. Thank you.